If you watched the end of the 11th blind commentary, you know that this is not a normal episode. I don't even have a tentative title because I keep coming up with better titles as I go. So why is there not a blind commentary? And also, what is this episode? And I can just imagine the analytics on YouTube or wherever I put this up just showing it spike down as people leave the video instantly, knowing there's nothing they care for. So, Friday last week, one of my friends, same friend who mentioned about Fluttershy becoming a bat before I saw that episode, he was asking about a few of us gathering together to catch one of our friends up on the season. He hadn't seen anything past the pilot. And he mentioned, oh, and we can also watch the new episode, the one with Weird Al, and I was like, god damn it. Okay, I didn't say that out loud, it was more of a, I had to complain to him about spoilers, which I had mentioned before. I didn't want spoilers. His reasoning was, there were hub ads. And I had to explain that I had been avoiding those too, but the damage was already done, and I could have gone into that blind. I still could have, but it's so rare for me to have an opportunity to do something brony-wise with friends, or anyone around at all. So I actually did take the opportunity, and I watched episodes through again with them. And I apologize for that. I could have done a mostly blind commentary still. I chose to do stuff with my friends over, this whole project, I guess. It was especially bad because this would have been an amazing one to be actually blind on it. That's really why I try to avoid spoilers so hard. Because I've been a Weird Al fan for a long time, especially thanks to my dad. Like, really, way back. I'm not sure what my favorite old one would be. It might be Everything You Know Is Wrong, or there's another one just like that. Oh, Why Does This Always Happen to Me? I love that one. I'm a fan to the point that I know, I used to know his song Albuquerque by heart. Which, if you know Albuquerque, it's over 11 minutes long. It's one of his original songs, just like the other two I mentioned. But I really do like his parodies too. And I've never really gone to concerts except for Weird Al. I've gone to 3 of them, including one in Ohio. And those things are, if you like Weird Al at all, go to one of his live concerts. They are excellent. Besides just all the songs, he has so much extra stuff to it, like different outfits and Al TV, which is this video segment he has. And so, yeah, if I had not known Weird Al was in this episode, that would have been brilliant. It would have been maybe a minute, I'm like, Weird Al, what? And the thing is, I'll never get that opportunity again to have that realization. Just like a lot of people did with John Delancey in Discord. Nothing I can do about it now. So the friend gathering was fun. It was good to go through some of the episodes. I had forgotten about Daring Don't. I had said earlier on, the only episode I really haven't liked this season is Bats. I mean, Power Ponies was meh, and Bats is more my dislike Fluttershy. And I was trying to remember, what was the 4th episode? Then, that was the Daring Do one. I was like, oh, I take it back. It was another one I disliked. It was actually worse the second time I watched it, because there was a lot of other things that irked me. Like how they kept Daring Do a straight recolor of Rainbow Dash, when originally she was a recolor because it's supposed to be Rainbow Dash putting herself in the story. Now she's just recolored Rainbow Dash. I'm getting way off topic. So, what this is, it's not exactly a review, it's more of a commentary. But without the video going as I do this. See, I don't really want to do a review. I don't have direct issue with reviews, because there's a lot of things that could be said which would be valid about an episode, and sometimes reviews are played a bit too much, or they're a bit too negative. I kind of go a bit more by the Rooster Teeth mentality about game reviews, which you probably don't know. Before Rooster Teeth was a thing, they did a review of a game. And they said it sucked, and, they were playing it up for more a comedy sake. And they got a letter from the people who made it, or an email probably, asking for specifics on what they thought was wrong, because they put so much time and effort into making the game, having a review like that kind of harsh is a big letdown. You've got to remember there's all the people who put all the work into it. So from that point on, they didn't do game reviews. It's more that if they're playing a game, then they like that game. And if they're not playing it, then they don't really care for it, but that doesn't mean they'll take away from anyone else's enjoyment. I say that because there's a lot of negativity with MLP nowadays. Ever since Digibrony started up his more in-depth analysis, there's been an explosion of that field, and a lot of that is complaining about different parts of an episode. I think people forget just how different MLP is. Sure, they're holding MLP up to the standard of MLP. This episode is not as good as this other fantastic episode. But the way people express it seems more like they really don't like the show, and they're complaining about it more like you complain about a bad movie, where it's bad and there's nothing else to it. With MLP, it's just a small segment, but the overall is still really great. You have to remember that MLP is a great show. That's why we're all fans of it. And you have to think of it also in terms of against other shows. Where when you compare it to a lot of other TV shows, even cartoons, MLP is going to rank a lot better. So anyway, this isn't really a review. I just want to go through almost every point I had any sort of comment on. I know it doesn't make up for not having a blind commentary. Alright, so first of all my notes is that this was quite a musical. We haven't had any of those with the exception of Magical Mystery Cure. And that one, Magical Mystery Cure, I probably put almost dead center of MLP episodes in comparison. Because I accepted the events of it, and there was some interesting stuff in there, but I'm not much for musicals, especially I'm not a fan of most of the songs in the show, and that's not because I think they're awful. With the exception of May the Best Pet Win, I think that song is awful. This one, however, was surprising. It was a lot more enjoyable. There was a lot of spirit to them, and there was a lot of references, which apparently Weird Al didn't write any of this stuff. Daniel Ingram just did really well with making Weird Al-ish songs, including a polka version of Smile, Smile, Smile within a song. And there was even a portion which is from his typical polkas, which Daniel Ingram I respected for doing the different songs and doing pretty well with them. That just shoots up my respect of him. That was impressive. The one I liked the most of those was actually Make-A-Wish, but that was really short. I expect there's probably an extended version of it. And Weird Al did great with the singing, of course. It's what he's good at, or great at, or excellent at. Yeah, most of the songs were simplistic. It didn't really bug me, though. The songs actually kind of more carried the episode, while Magical Mystery Cure, the songs kind of told the story by shortening it down and skipping over parts because musicals can do that. Oh, and there was also Dama Giara singing. That was a surprise. And she was actually pretty good, which that probably works as a segue, because now I can talk about the background characters. There was a scene where there was Philly versions of a lot of them, with the exception of Berry Punch. Berry Punch is apparently older than most of the background ponies, which that's kind of fitting. But there was a mini Lyra, mini Colgate, Bon Bon with big glasses, there was Philly Ditzy, and there was also Philly Pinky, but I'll get back to that. And then there's Ditzy. This was a great episode to show us that she is back, that she is a normal part of this, and she's more like how Lyra was in the first season, where she just shows up a lot and occasionally has an interesting little thing in the background, but she's a normal part of the cast, essentially, or, well, the background. There was the scene where she's drinking of the chocolate fountain. That was an interesting one, because if you focus beyond Ditzy, you see Mr. Cake going by, and he notices Ditzy drinking from the chocolate fountain, and he's kind of horrified. And then there's Rarity Applejack and I think Cheese Sandwich going by the other way, and Ditzy goes back to eating from the chocolate fountain, or drinking, however you want to view that. And Rarity turns, looks at Ditzy, sees Ditzy eat/drink from the chocolate fountain, and she smiles brightly. It's kind of an interesting one. Maybe she's just happy that Ditzy's back. That's kind of an interesting comparison between the two reactions. So let's move on to Cheese Sandwich, Weird Al. His cutie mark is definitely an interesting mark. His name said that he'd have some sort of cheese sandwich mark, essentially. But marks can be interpreted very different ways, Cheerily being one of the biggest cases. where his sandwich becomes an accordion. That design for that cutie mark, really clever. I really liked how the young cheese sandwich had the classic Weird Al look with the more foofy hair and those classic glasses. There's also a lot of similarities to Pinky, like how his mane is styled, and also that it seemed to be sentient, just as Pinky's tail has become. That in like Pinky sense. So it seems like becoming a party pony influences your hair, where it definitely did with Pinky, and with Cheese Sandwich it just kinda changed it around. It's still poofy, but it's a lot more straight. It's kind of curious with those similarities. You wonder how much of that was influence and how much that was trying to match her, where how much is Cheese Sandwich holding Pinky up as an idol, where he sees her as one who inspired him, the one who made him who he is, who got him through his shyness. Is it wanting to follow in her footsteps, or is it more kind of idolizing her, or even wanting to become a lot like her? I really like that he was essentially the antagonist kind of for the episode, but he was never a villain. He was always happy. He never seemed to have any ill intent, especially when we find out more why he's here at all. It's nice to see those kinds of characters where they're kind of an obstacle, but at the same time they have no ill intent. I kind of wish there was a bit more between Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich, where he definitely has a strong connection with her, even if she didn't know about it till essentially the end. Where it's also that, even though it's a Weird Al character, he's the only legitimate romantic interest for Pinkie that we've seen besides all the lesbian opportunities. And that definitely would make sense with the character. He got who he was from her. And returned so he could show her that he's become a successful party pony. He wanted to impress his idol. There's probably a lot more to that. He also showed up to return the rubber chicken, which was essentially her gift to him way back. From there I should probably go on to some smaller bits. There was a map of Equestria which showed up in Jesus Confesses, which we've seen some maps of Equestria before, not in the show though. So this map is actually now canon, and it shows Equestria in full with some extras compared to what I had seen on the maps prior, where there was a few things added, like the Rainbow Falls areas, Crystal Empire was added. I think there was a bit more, but I didn't notice anything when I was looking through it, but it was a nice thing to finally see as being a directly canon addition. And something kind of small, which I really, really, really liked, was that they didn't actually have a diary entry. It was shown that Pinkie was writing in the diary, but they didn't actually have the whole monologue end to it. You just had to go with the conversation where the friends were apologizing to Pinkie and what you could take from that, instead of just being straight fed an answer of what this is all about and whatnot. Something small, but I really liked that. There was also the fact that Rainbow Dash's birthday and when she showed up in Ponyville are the same day. Considering it on its own, you could definitely come up with some theories of what happened. It doesn't make sense that Rainbow Dash would want to leave where she could fly all the time, unless she just wanted to be lazy, which I think is more something she developed as she became used to Ponyville instead of something she always had. Okay, let me get into Pinkie. I called that this would be her key episode. I expected that it's going to be every even episode. I'm not sure if that's going to continue or if they're going to skip 2 and then go into keys again. I don't know if Twilight is going to get a key or not. There are 8 slots, but Twilight's always been a special case. It might be that she requires the other keys and then she gets some sort of like trial or something, which unlocks the last key. And I've really liked the key episodes so far. Let me get off Pinkie for a second. The key episodes have been great so far. Pinkie's was definitely great too. It's been good to see episodes that are more into their character. And Pinkie's was an interesting one in... now I'm on Pinkie again. Pinkie's was interesting because it was going into her... It kind of was pride, it kind of wasn't. It was pride in that she really wanted to be the one to show her friends a good time, but she forgot along the way that her friends need to enjoy it. It can't just be her succeeding at throwing parties. I'm interested in how the keys will be coming up. There's going to be Fluttershy, which I'm not looking forward to. Not even just because it's Fluttershy, because her element's kindness. It's going to be something basic. I don't think they're going to do anything too in-depth with her character. Applejacks. Applejacks I'll be really interested for. It's been a while since Applejacks had a good character episode. She essentially hasn't had one of her own since the last roundup, essentially. And last roundup I count as the best Applejack episode. And Twilight's, if there is a Twilight one, I don't know what that'll be. Alright, let's get back into Pinkie Pie. There was a lot of little things to her which made this great. Like that she had the outfit from Dragonshy for a small while. That's probably her strangest outfit she's had. There was a part where she was singing, I think that song is called Pinkie's Lament, which, great name for the song. And there was a part where she was singing on the balcony, and that, a lot of the songs this episode kind of harkened back to season 1 Pinkie, where she had a lot of miniature songs. And the big production ones didn't really come till Winter Wrap-Up and a few other things after that. Where a lot of these songs were more like her season 1 songs. But Pinkie's Lament was a really good on its own and different song for Pinkie. Pinkie really hasn't had any song like that before, and she hasn't had a song where she's sung essentially just to herself and not everyone else. What my cutie mark is telling me doesn't count. There's the part in that song where she's on the balcony and the lighting's great and she's singing and it's wonderful. And there was also little things like her making a cheese sandwich just so she could punch it. Or how she did the Pinkie Promise without directly saying all the lines of it. She just did the motions and then stuffed a cupcake in her eye. There were even a few moments where her sad look was actually a bit more heartbreaking than it was in Party of One. A lot of her friends did kind of abandon her, but it really wasn't as bad as a lot of people seem to think it is. Where it was more her friends were swept up with this new guy who comes in, has a lot of excitement to him. Twilight seemed to be the only one who realized that, they could work together, which is how it ended up in the end, and Twilight accepted, okay, she doesn't want to work with Cheese Sandwich, then fine, and just moved on and helped with the party again. It's not that her friends were abandoning her, it's just that they kind of forgot that this might hurt her feelings a bit, that she would feel maybe left out or something, and they did apologize. And Pinkie herself, she was kind of hiding her feelings. She was trying to seem like she was still upbeat. Maybe that was kind of because she was okay at first with, okay, if her friends want this guy instead, then I'll let them do that because they seem happy. And it could also be she was just straight jealous and had to overcome that when she realized that she was not making things better by trying to put herself at the forefront. Could also be that she was crushed that her friends would go off and pay more attention to this other guy instead of her, who's been the party pony for them for so long. I really liked how she tried different applications of her talent, where a number of them have talents which can be interpreted different ways, and hers does seem a lot more like it's supposed to be parties, considering the balloons, but any cutie mark can be interpreted different ways. And some of them are adding to talent which isn't your cutie mark talent anyway. Consider Rarity. Rarity always wanted to be a fashion designer, and it wasn't until she realized that she could add gems and make her outfits more expressive that way that she got her mark. Now, she hasn't used gems as much recently, and that's probably because she's gotten a lot better at becoming a designer. But if she had added gems to her designs, it'd be almost instant win because that's what her special talent is. Okay, I'm getting a bit off track, but Pinkie herself, it's nice to see her at least try different things to see if maybe there is something else, some other avenue that would suit me better, even if the reason she was going off to look at the other things wasn't the best reason. And I liked her reasoning of, there's gotta be something more to me. She doesn't want to be a one-note character, as she has been a lot of other episodes this season. Okay, another point, a different kind of point, is there was the picture of her family. Now this kind of disproves what I had said before about I don't think Pinkie's backstory is completely true. It definitely seems now that there is a lot more aspects of it which is true, but I still feel that something more is there, especially that this episode also showed that Pinkie very quickly left where she was and moved to Ponyville. She still had her early poofed mane not stylized or anything when she was throwing her party in Cheese Sandwich's backstory. But it seems like things actually went better with her family, at least for that first party. And then there was 3 sisters. Interesting. Now, at first I was really interested is like, is this some sort of retcon? Which essentially it is, but technically no. In the first book of MLP, at least the first book I know of, that gave Cadence's backstory, where that explained about Cadence being a Pegasus, and then the process through which she became an Alicorn. Apparently, another one of the books, that story actually had the first time that the main six actually met Pinky's family. Apparently they all showed up, with the exception of this third sister. But the thing about that, and why I'm bringing it up, is that they actually had a mention where Pinky was like, oh, Dad, Mom, you're here. Oh, and Sister 1, you're here. Sister 2, you're here. Where's... And then her father cuts her off with, your older sister is tending the farm. She's like, oh, okay. So, there has been a third sister for a while. And this third sister was first brought up in the books, and now we've seen her in the pictures. So we know she's an older sister, and we know we didn't see her in Pinky's backstory. So, kind of curious what's up with her. And there's still the holdout for maybe Pinky's sisters will show up this season. But we'll see how that goes, if that goes, when that goes. So I'm reaching the end of my notes. I've watched this episode a lot, especially in comparison to other episodes this season so far. Again, apologies that I chose not to do a commentary, even though I would have been mostly blind still. I still wanted to get out what I had to say on the episode, and in case I hadn't made it clear before, this episode is amazing. I don't think it beats Rarity Takes Manhattan, but this episode overall was fantastic, and as surreal as it was, especially with the rubber chicken and gummy scenes, and I bursted out laughing with those. I actually burst out laughing a lot this episode. Weird Al was great, as I would expect. This episode actually really made me want to go to one of his concerts again. And if you sticked with me through this entire episode, I guess a bit of thanks to you, that you would actually care what opinions or extra things I had to say, and wanted to see that even though there's no episode to go along with it. I shouldn't have this come up again, and I should have the rest of Season 4 recorded. And I guess, having said everything I wanted to, I can now finish up with Pinky.
Hello, Mr. Trender. Aren't you too busy planning the festival to keep making new outfits for it?
Is it me, or could this use a splash of color?
Listen, I know you really want Trent to like you.
And he does.